Hi Bear Cubs, this is Lauren from Student Financial Services. I'm going to share with you information about Satisfactory Academic Progress, also known as SAP. So remember, to qualify for financial aid, you will need to complete your financial aid application, which will either be the FAFSA or the California DREAM Act application. Both of these applications and receiving financial aid means that you do have to adhere to SAP Policies, which include 3 different criteria. The first is that you have to maintain a cumulative GPA of at least 2.0. Cumulative means it's your lifetime GPA, so all of your semesters combined, the GPA at least needs to be 2.0. In addition, you need to pass at least 67% of your classes. So anytime you have a failed course, you withdraw from a course and you have a W on your transcript, you have an incomplete course, these are units that are counted against your percentage. And as long as your percentage is above 67%, you can continue to receive your aid. But you also need to make sure to finish your program within a certain time frame. So as the government lists here, you do need to finish your program within 150% of your program's length. Now I'll go into detail on all 3 of these in just the next couple of slides. But it's important for you to understand that we are reviewing your progress at the end of every semester. So every semester that you complete here, once your grades have posted, we'll be reviewing your progress in terms of your GPA, the cumulative, meaning at least checking that you've met at least the 2.0. Then we're looking to see if you have at least passed 67% of your units that you've attempted. And then also making sure that you have not exhausted eligibility by passing more than 150% of your program. We will engage with you and communicate with you at the conclusion of every semester to notify you the status of your eligibility, whether you continue to be eligible and in good standing. We'll also notify you if you're on warning. So in the event you're not able to meet one of these criteria and it's your first time, we will give you a warning, and that'll hopefully give you the support and reminder that you need to get things boosted back up, or get some help so that you are able to find success for your future semesters. Because if you have a second term where you're not meeting the standards, then you become ineligible, and that's when your financial aid is terminated. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here. But looking first at the first criteria, which is meeting that 2.0 GPA, this is kind of a little sample of how a GPA is calculated. You can see over here on the scale that different grades equal different points. And so depending on the type of grade you get, you would receive some kind of point, and those points added up together and then divided up by the amount of classes you're taking will give you the estimated GPA. So as you're planning, and if you're feeling like you can anticipate the type of GPA you're going to get, or if you want to get a better perspective on what kind of grade you need in order to maintain a certain GPA, you can just use this kind of tool. I also list a GPA calculator that you can utilize. And then of course, checking in with our awesome counseling team. They can assist you with this process as well. But understanding the way in which your GPA is calculated will be really most effective for you in understanding this process. So the second piece is that you want to pass at least 67% of the classes that you've attempted. It's also considered completion rate. So again, when you are needing to withdraw from a class, so you've received a W on your transcript, if you have an F, an incomplete, in progress, or even an EW, those are all classes that you won't have earned units for. And so it counts against your completion rate. You won't have completed those units or those courses. And so, if you're looking at your percentage, you want to, and considering your percentage, you want to try to pass as many classes as you can, receive an earned grade, which would be an A, B, C, or D. That will allow you to receive the units for that course and keep that percentage of completion up. So our recommendation is, life happens, things happen, and unfortunately it's true that, not always we're able to pass our classes, or we have to withdraw for all kinds of different reasons. And so that's why we're not saying that you need to complete 100% of your units attempted. And there is room to, have to withdraw and even potentially fail coursework. But our advice is that when you're in that position, check in with your counselor, make sure that you're getting the support that you deserve and guidance to help you through that experience, and also figure out the appropriate coursework to take in the future. In addition to that, though, we're really strongly recommending that you check in with us here in financial aid so that we can walk you through the impact of the withdrawal or the failed course. If you have a feeling that you're going to fail a course, or if you know you need to withdraw, check in with us so that we can talk about the impact that experience will have on your overall eligibility. We want you to be best prepared for the impact of these challenges. And the third one we mentioned is that you can't exceed 150% of your program's unit requirement. And that's kind of a confusing way to describe it, but that's how it's written. So what does that mean? The typical AA program requires 60 units. So in other words, you would attempt 60 units that are required for the program, and ultimately you'd have your degree. Well, the government says that you can actually attempt 90 units, and that's when you would exhaust, or your eligibility would be finished. You would not receive any more financial aid. So it's helpful to know this in early, so that as you are planning for your degree, or as you are maybe returning from a lapse of time, it's important to understand that every unit that you attempt is considered in this calculation. So while you might be in an AA program now, if you have attempted an AA previously, or if you've changed majors multiple times, all of those units rack up. They all get added up together. And so it is easy sometimes for a student to reach those 90 units and maybe not already have finished their degree. And what happens in this case is the student is cut off. Their eligibility is terminated. So, we offer, there's of course a wealth of opportunities here at SRJC in terms of our programs, and they do have different unit requirements. So there's a slight little example here of what that means, 150% means for these various programs. And, as you're planning, if you find yourself unsure, please just check in with us. We'd love to guide you through, what eligibility you can hopefully predict and plan for over the next, period of time that you'll be in school and before you reach your program. So if you find yourself in the position where you've lost your eligibility because of one of these criteria, remind they're listed here again. If it's because your low GPA or your completion rate are below the requirements, you might be able to bring those back up by demonstrating a successful term. It means, of course, that you don't have financial aid in those semesters, until you're able to bring them back up, which is a bit of can be a hardship or even a sacrifice. But you would potentially be able to, if you get that GPA cumulatively back up to 2.0 and you're able to pass at least 67%, then you will naturally reinstate your eligibility, and then we'll be able to award you financial aid again. But if you don't want to wait for that, if you can't wait for that to happen, then you'd have the opportunity to submit an appeal with us. And based on your circumstances, we may be able to make an exception and reinstate your eligibility, again, based on the information that you're able to provide. I mentioned earlier, we understand that life happens, and it's hard to be successful sometimes. So again, we're able to offer the appeal to help accommodate for these life hardships that we experience. Now, if you're not meeting 150%, or meaning you've not yet earned your degree, or you're past the 150%, then again, your eligibility will be terminated. And in this situation, you would also have the opportunity to appeal. So based on your circumstances, we may be able to make an exception and reinstate your eligibility to help you finish out your program, receiving the financial aid that maybe you once had. So how to appeal? This is a bit of a process. Following the federal guidelines, we have to adhere to, and we are asking for several things. So all of our appeals are submitted through Student Forms, which is our online secure document portal. And the four things that we ask for: first is a statement of your extenuating circumstance. The government's very particular and specific that the student needs to demonstrate an extenuating circumstance, something that has something profound that has prohibited the student's success. You can see some examples to the right of the screen. And so it's in this statement where you're going to identify that for us. You're going to help us understand what was standing in your way and that kept you from passing those classes, from earning those units, from finishing within the time frame. When we're reviewing an appeal, we're also looking at your transcript, and often if we see a semester where there are multiple withdrawals or failed courses, we can identify that period of time. And so what we would guess is that's likely the time when the student was experiencing their extenuating circumstance. So when you're providing, when you're demonstrating in your statement about your extenuating circumstance, it's helpful if you're able to align it to that period of time that's listed on your transcript where you're showing that you were likely to have been challenged. We also ask for a financial aid education plan. This is prepared by your counselor here. It's helpful for you because it helps you make sure that you're on track and you know exactly what you need in order to finish your program. It also helps us understand that you're gaining the guidance that you deserve to finish on time, and you know the direction that you're going. We also ask for third-party documentation verifying your extenuating circumstance. So you've provided us your statement telling us about what's happened, but now you need to help verify that. So depending on your circumstance, if it was medically related, it's ideal to help, provide some kind of medical documentation. And you can see there are some examples there on what else you might be able to provide. The third-party documentation needs to come from generally a professional source or someone who would come from a third party, not generally family or friends, someone of a professional capacity. And then lastly, we ask you to complete our online SAP workshop, which is just a brief online session, helps you learn and understand more about this policy so that you're just that much more prepared and understanding of this experience and what you're going through and why you have to go through this process. So if an appeal is approved, then that means that your financial aid can be reinstated. And it means that, we are here, of course, to support you through that. We want our students to receive their financial aid. We want all students to receive their financial aid. And so it's reasonable to need some guidance on this process, both in your planning, if you are currently eligible. That's awesome. But if you have questions, come see us. If you're currently not eligible or you're finding yourself having a challenge and you don't know what to do, please make an appointment with us. We'd love to help walk you through all of your options and identify ways in which we can help you succeed. So we are available in Plover Hall Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We are still open on Zoom drop-ins. As I said, you can make appointments with us, and we will be glad to help you through the process. We believe in you and want you to get the financial aid that you deserve. So best of luck all. Thank you.